Need a website for your business, but not looking to break the bank for one? I've got you covered. Hi, it's me, Ashley M. Lyle, founder and CEO of BLAQN and host of the Black Queens on Stage podcast. And yes, I also have a website business, Sites by Lyle. I can create a dynamic website for your business that will showcase your work, wow potential clients, and close more sales. So contact me on my Instagram at Sites by Lyle to schedule your free 30-minute evaluation so we can get you started on your new website. Welcome to the Black Queens on Stage podcast, presented by Black Literature and Art Queens Network, where we bring our queens to the stage. Thank you for listening to the season finale episode of Black Queens on Stage podcast. I'm so grateful to my listeners supporting this series, and to all my guests. I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for you. Thank you to everyone. A quick disclaimer about this episode specifically. There are 4, not 3, Black women-owned theaters in Michigan that I am aware of. FaceOff Theater, which is in this episode, Shakespeare in Detroit, Detroit Lighthouse Community Theater, and Ebony Road Players. At the time of this recording, I wasn't aware of Ebony Road Players, so I wanted to make sure to correct that. Thanks again for listening, and enjoy the episode. Welcome to the podcast where we honor and acknowledge Black women performers and discuss racial issues within Michigan performing venues. My name is Ashley M. Lyle, and today I am joined by one of the only 3 Black women theater owners and artistic directors in the state of Michigan, artistic director of FaceOff Theater in Kalamazoo, Marissa Harrington. How are you today, Marissa?
I am awesome. Very happy to be here. Thank you.
I'm so glad to have you on here, because I definitely want to make sure that I'm reaching out, not just in the southeast part of Michigan, which is where I am, but, all across Michigan. And I made sure to, as I was creating my organization, to try to find out where and who the artists are across the state of Michigan. And then I came across the Black Cultural and Arts Museum or
Center. It's a
Center.
Arts and Cultural Center. Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yep, of Kalamazoo. And then I saw that they had their own theater, FaceOff Theater. And I'm like, this is absolutely perfect. So I was way too excited. So then I started doing some investigating and saw that this theater was owned by a Black woman. And I had one of those moments where, like on Maury's show where the guests jump up off the stage and then run to the back, run all the way around.
Mm-hmm. Run around screaming with your arms waving over your head. Mm-hmm. Yep.
I was just too excited.
Love
excited.
It. Well, it is an honor. It really, really is.
Yeah, I'm so glad that you're here. Let's get started, shall we?
Cool. Yes.
So describe your style of acting.
Ooh, that's a good question. Okay, so I have been acting for, oh God, I hate saying this out loud because it reminds me how old I am, but 25 years. And, originally my mom put me in acting class because I had a really low self-esteem in middle school, and single parent household, poor, like I was a little lost. And she was like, I need to put this girl in something. She needs to channel whatever she got going on. So this was in Los Angeles. So my mom put me in a Black-owned acting school in South Central Los Angeles. And it was through that training that I realized that I could use acting as therapy.
Mm-hmm.
So I, from the very beginning, was always very in touch with how to channel my emotions with whatever character I was working on. Because for me, truly, that was how I was working through stuff. So it is a very visceral way to act. And it wasn't until I attended Western and got some formal training that, I learned how to do that in a healthy way. So you actually learn technique. I'm also a dancer. I'm a mover. So when I attended Western, I learned how to use voice and movement and couple that with this kind of like visceral style of acting that I've always been doing to channel characters, to channel emotions of the characters. So then at that point, I'm taking myself out of it and, all my trauma. I'm more disassociated, basically. Like it's still authentic. It's still, raw emotion, but it's not anything that's going to take me 3 weeks to recover from after the show is over, because as Black women, trauma every day, all day.
Yeah.
Right. And so a lot of us use our art to work that stuff out, which is not a bad thing. But then again, like I said, you got to figure out how to do it in a healthy way. So I use certain techniques later on in my training with voice and movement and, Michael Chekhov and just wanting to physicalize the feelings and the emotions of the character rather than going, this one time when I was like 16, I had this really traumatic experience and I'm going to channel that. Yeah, that's not healthy.
Yeah. So being one of the only 3 Black women theater owners and artistic directors in Michigan, who or what inspired you to open your own theater?
Ooh, that's a good question. I would probably say, it hasn't been until later on in life that I've realized that my introduction to acting was a Black owned acting school for kids owned by a Black woman. So that was my introduction. It's normal to me. It was normal. Like, oh, this is what we do. Right. So there weren't any barriers or anything that I had to overcome. It was just it made sense to me. I founded the theater company with 5 other of my Western Michigan University alum sisters, all Black women, all educated. And we honestly started the theater company here because there were those of us that were not, after graduation, going to New York and Chicago and LA and touring. I had a family. I was married with kids. And, the rest of us all had our own stories and own reasons for staying in Kalamazoo. And so then you look out at the landscape of Kalamazoo theater. And for us being a small town, we have tons of theater here. Unfortunately, we don't have tons of theater for us.
Exactly.
As people of color. And then when you break it down even more, Black women, we're pigeonholed into only playing certain characters. So then I'm really looking like, well, so I'm just not going to be able to do theater here because I'm choosing to stay here and raise my family. That didn't sit well with me. It didn't sit well with the rest of us. And so we decided to start a theater company, honestly, out of the need of wanting to continue to create after graduation. I'm educated. I have a degree, where I studied long and hard hours, had to prove myself, had to do all the things, right? Every other woman in our cohort that started this company, we have master's degrees, someone working on a PhD. We are more than qualified, but to then be thrust into a theater scene here where there's no opportunities, or the opportunity is once a year for that one Black role, just like undergrad, which is irritating. But I'll even go further than that and say that you have experienced directors in the theater company and nobody ever calls me to, that's not true. I have been called to direct. I have had the pleasure of being able to direct consistently since undergrad. I will say that there are certain institutions here that I've never gotten a call from. To direct anything, and hearing that the reason for that is because they don't know any Black directors. This town is too small for you to not know that we're right across the street or down the street.
Exactly.
And experienced and trained, like literally trained, like took classes in directing and had just trained. More so than the other people that you're hiring to direct at community theater. It's frustrating. It's frustrating. So, I'm not going to sit around and wait for opportunities for you to call me when you when you feel, when it's convenient, or, you know, when you feel like, oh, we're doing our Black show now, our one time a year or once every 2 years, which is what it used to be, our once every 2 year season, you know, where we have the Black show. I'm not going to sit around and wait for that.
Right.
It's insulting.
Right. No, just clarify for me. FaceOff is a professional theater.
That is a good question too. So I like to say that we are a professional community theater. I like to say that.
Okay.
And the reason for that is because of the fact that we're all trained, you know, we all know what we're doing. We're working in actual technique, but we are not, you know, we're not equity. And up until recently, you know, we haven't had the budget to compensate anyone, you know, for their time. And even what I'm doing now is trying to get funding so that, you know, I can at least give some stipends to actors, because I think it's really important, you know, to pay artists and pay people for their time. You know, it's just unfortunate when, you know, if you don't have a budget to do that, it's very difficult to. Yeah. So I like to say, you know, quality of productions and how we run our shows and how we run our company is professional. But, you know, we would be classified right now as a community theater.
Okay. So tell me what the rehearsal process looks like before a show.
So we structure our rehearsals based on, you know, how we learned to do it in school. You know, you have a regular 6 to 8 week process. You do auditions, you know, you do formal auditions. People have to come with monologues. They do readings. We have a stage management and production management team that oversees that. I mean, we really try and model the professional way to do things in terms of how we run the company. So, you know, it's very important to us, you know, to do like a dramaturgy presentation that first couple of days that the actors are together, so that because of the work that we do, there's always going to be some sort of historical reference, or you need to know the background of XYZ, or even let's learn about this Black playwright so you guys understand where they were coming. I mean, you know, it's very important for us to not just jump into the work, but also it's like at our table reads to have our in-house dramaturg to, you know, really go into depth about the piece, the characters, the playwright, and anything else that is relevant. And, you know, we'll do a couple of table reads, and then I jump in, especially if I'm directing, you know, I jump in with wanting to block the show that first week and a half, so that we have the rest of the time to play and to find things and to fine tune. So, you know, our rehearsal process is pretty, I don't want to say strict or stringent, but we do follow a structure. You know, our stage managers do rehearsal reports. We just recently, though, you know, we've always been working with, like, you know how we got to work with nothing all the time. You know, we got to pull, like, you know, and I say us, we Black folk, we have to work with a whole, we have to do a whole lot with a whole little, right? So I just now, we've been around for like 5 years, and I'm just now having like a costume person, right?
Okay.
So, you know, our process has been, you know, let's follow what we know of professional theater, and let's follow what we know about making sure that things are structured. But, you know, I'm also working with volunteers. I'm a volunteer, you know.
Right.
But directors have prompt books. I mean, we really do our best to make sure that we are incorporating our training into every production.
Impressive. And I mean, that's fantastic too, because while you guys are working from a community theater level, you're definitely, you know, performing at a professional level.
Yep.
And that's honestly really refreshing to know that.
Yep.
You know, I honestly wish that a lot more community theaters operated in that way.
Yeah, and I have, over the years, we have adopted, you know, when we first started, it was rough that first couple of years, because, you know, it started out as like an idea. We were all passionate, you know, all Black women, all like strong personalities, and going, okay, we just want to do the work. We just want to do the work. Yeah. And then we sit back and go, but wait, okay, y'all. So we actually need to have a rehearsal schedule. And,
Right.
it took us a year or two to find our footing and
Mm-hmm.
come out of being a passion project and striving toward, no, we are Black, we are women. And unfortunately, we have to do better than everyone else. We have to
Mm-hmm.
hold ourselves to, or no, I hold ourselves to, and other people hold us to a higher standard. Now, whether that's fair or not, that's a totally different conversation. But
Mm-hmm.
we are very aware of that we don't want to just be putting up junk. We want the acting to be quality. We want the directing to be quality. We want our rehearsal process to be quality. We're very aware that we can't do what other people do.
Right.
And so it took us a couple of years to, start building our systems and really making sure that we were working in excellence.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And that's the hard part in regards to theater or any type of art form, where we as Black people, particularly Black women, where we have to make sure that our art is of the highest echelon.
It's
You know what I
crazy.
mean?
It's crazy. And in the meantime, you're going to, I'm not going to name any names. I'm just going to, in general, say, because I know that we can all relate to this. And then you go to some theater where, if whether professional or community, that is very highly regarded. And you go sit and you see a show and go, okay, so this is
Right.
what we consider quality
Where
today.
mediocrity is celebrated.
Yes. Where you just sitting in the audience going, so y'all what was y'all budget? Because I don't be having no budget and can do better than this. Do you know what I'm saying? And it's not even, it's not to talk down about, but it's just, it's not fair to me that we do have to make sure that whatever we do is quality, or we're going to get torn apart. We're going to get ripped apart simply because we are Black women doing this.
Yeah.
It's not fair.
No, it's not. It's really not. And the good thing about it is, I don't know if you got the chance to catch my Black Actor Conference series.
No.
My friend Dan, he helped me out a lot with this conference, and right now we're still working closely together to continue our message of bringing Michigan theater into an anti-racist moment in its history. And one thing that I love what he says is, he says, we're actors too, so give us the chance to suck.
That's good.
Give us the chance to suck. Find out what we did wrong, or find out what we can improve upon, and then let us be us.
Yep. Don't hold us to a higher standard than you hold your damn selves.
Exactly.
It's freaking annoying. It's annoying. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, not just from, fellow theaters around town, but other artists, other, sad to say, other Black artists in our younger years, where it was just kind of this whole like, well, I'm not gonna work with them because they're unprofessional, or I'm not gonna work with them. Right? Like, we have to have all our stuff together to be regarded as legit, as opposed to what I've worked at a lot of other theaters in town, or with a lot of other theaters in town. I know how they all run. So I've seen some stuff from some other theaters, but you don't see them being picked apart as unprofessional. I feel like that word unprofessional is always thrown at Black folks and Black women specifically at any given moment. Oh, you're unprofessional. I'm sorry, where? How? What am I doing that's not, you know what I mean? So it's just that full transparency in our whole 5.5 years of existence has been the most frustrating. The lack of support, the lack of regard as a legitimate theater company, the lack of acknowledgement that mofos over here actually know what they're doing. It's frustrating.
Yeah, it really is. So Tell me what your audience looks like. Do you particularly see more men, more women, Black, white?
I'm actually very proud to say that, in my opinion, in our area, we have the most diverse group of audience attendees.
That's great.
All ages, sexual orientations, race, ethnicity. I mean, we see the gamut. Mm-hmm. And I think it's because our work is based in activism, is based in community discussion. Mm-hmm. And so it attracts the community, like the real community. When you walk into a FaceOff Theater Company show, you see Kalamazoo represented. You don't see parts of Kalamazoo represented. So, it's not just all Black audiences. It's not just all white audiences. It's not just all young folk. It's not just all older folk. It's literally everybody. And we are very proud of that. Very, very proud of that. We provide theater for our community. We do provide theater for the Black community. The stories that we are telling are Black stories. We are, right? But guess who else needs to hear Black stories?
Right.
Other folks.
Yeah.
You need to see what this Black experience is like. And it's not, not all trauma porn. It's not all,
exactly.
You know what I'm saying? It's like real people dealing with real stuff, real stories, right? It's not all, oh yeah, let's go see something that's going to reinforce to us the stereotypes that we have already about the Black community. That's not the word that sometimes, but again, I think there's a place for that. I'm just saying that that's not all you see. Do you see the struggle sometimes? Absolutely. Do you see, pain? Absolutely. But you also see pleasure. You also see comedy. You also see music. You also see just what makes our culture, in my opinion, special. You see that. And there are people that are coming to our shows that are seeing that stuff for the first time.
Mm-hmm. How do you keep the audience engaged for each performance? And also, do you ever notice like any different energy shifts between who's in your audience?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I would say it's based on the show, and it's based on, like you said, who's there. So our canon has been very diverse. We've done gospel musicals, and then we did Dreamgirls in 2016. But then we did, we do some Susan Laurie Parks. We use a lot of Dominique Morisseau.
Nice.
So, I hate to say that, like, we want to make people uncomfortable. That's not the intent. The intent is not for our content to make people uncomfortable, but the intent is to shake people up so that they can be right and prime. After every single show, we have a community discussion. We have a talk back after every single show. Every single night, every single show, okay? So we do produce shows that we think are going to get people talking. And yes, we have had some tense community discussions. We have had people get all up in their feelings, and I'm fine with that. Because what I don't want you to just come see a show, go to the bar and have some drinks, or go home and have some hot chocolate or whatever, and then completely immediately forget about what you just saw. I don't want that. I want you to leave changed. Okay, so we are very intentional about what we do and what we produce, even with the gospel musicals, which we in the very beginning were like, we're not doing musicals. We're real actors. And then after I did Dreamgirls in 2016, I was really like, I ain't doing no more musicals. Bump this. This is too much. But we all had to.
I mean, though, you did Dreamgirls. Come on now.
Man, that's a hard show to produce. You want to know why people don't produce that show? It's hard.
It's too hard. It's you gotta definitely have the money for it. That's number one.
Musically is hard.
Yeah.
Because you cannot have costumes. That's what killed me. I was like, wait a minute, let me get this straight. So in this one scene, we're in a totally different decade and city, and then like 2 seconds later, I gotta switch the decade and be on the other side of the country with like 30 seconds of it. Okay. That's why it was a movie. That should have been a movie. Producing that as a play is like, anyway. So that's my rant.
Scene changes.
Oh, it's ridiculous. Okay, so that's my rant about Dreamgirls. It's just too much. So after Dreamgirls, I was traumatized. I was like, we ain't doing no more musicals. I'm not going to do it, right? And then, you grow up as an artist, and then you go, okay, I see a place. I see where, especially with trying to get the Black community specifically to come out to the theater. Like, I want my people in the theater, which means that we got to have at least that one slot in the year where it's a play with music. We have to, because we want them here. We want them in the building. So, I had to suck it up, and I'm glad I did. So for the past couple of years, we've been producing what I don't like to call them musicals, because I don't think that's what they are. They're plays with music.
Right.
But they have a story. That's always important to us. Like, what is the story? What is the story we're trying to tell at this time in the community, right? So, we did Mahalia a couple of years ago. This year we did Crowns, right?
Okay.
And Crowns is about the hat culture in the Black community, which a lot of people don't know about. A lot of people don't know that there is a
You said hat?
The hat culture, the Southern, like the Southern hat culture. No, it's not even just Southern. Like the crowns, the women wearing the hats to church.
The church
and
hats.
What it means. What does that mean? Why do we do it? Right? And so, there's story there, and there's lessons to be learned. And if I'm saying, okay, that's fine, let's do a play with some music. It has to really be something with some substance, because otherwise I'm not just going to do it to do it. I'm just not. What we also don't like to do is like take and I'm not saying there's anything wrong with this. It's just not our mission, is to take a play that has historically been like a white play and produce it with all Black people. That's not really our mission. That's not what we do.
Okay.
Because there's so much work that is not produced by Black writers, Black playwrights, Black musicians, right? There's so much work that's not, we have thousands of things. If you go all the way back in Black history, the history of Black theater, there's so much work that's not produced, people don't know about. I would rather focus our energies on that and lifting up those voices and lifting up those stories and going, let's do Shakespeare, but like a Black version of okay, other people are doing that. We don't need to do that. Let's do Guys and Dolls, but with Black folks. No, I don't. No.
Right.
That's just not what we do.
We've seen it, and
we've seen it, right?
Yeah.
We don't need to do that. Like, can we show? Do people know about The Dutchman? Does anybody know about that play?
I sure don't.
You know what I'm saying? So, like, let's produce stuff that people have not seen, don't know about, has been in the Black theater canon for years. Blues
and
for
I
Mr.
agree
Charlie,
with you.
Yeah,
I agree with you like 1,000 times infinity% on that. And one of the things that I also talked about was incorporating Black actors in these white created shows, but not all of them, like Guys and Dolls or Little Shop of Horrors. We've seen that.
Yes.
But what I would love to see personally, and I've said this before, and I'll be doomed to repeat it again, is that I would personally love to see an all-Black production of Next to Normal.
Okay, I can feel you on it. I can feel, but that's also a newer play. That's not something that has been produced thousands of times. High school.
Are you sure?
Well, yeah, that's true. That's true. But you know what I'm saying? Like, there's all these shows that have been around for years and years and years and years and years and years, and that have been overly produced at every single level, Broadway all the way down to middle school. I'm not interested in those shows. But yeah, I agree. Like, a play that play from our lens, with our voice on it would be super interesting to watch.
Yeah. I got in, and during the Black Actor Conference, I got into depth about it, and I know that I hate saying this because all of a sudden I'm going to see a whole slew of these white theater establishments doing it with an all black cast, because they all have this bad habit of doing the same shows like 1 month after each other. But
why are we not paying attention? Pay attention. And why don't we pick our shows, the theater community in general? We just need to grow.
Right.
Because
like, I cannot tell you how many times I have seen Mamma Mia by 13 or 14 different theaters all 1 month after each other.
It's freaking ridiculous.
In the same season.
Can we choose
nobody
our
needs to
shows
see Mamma Mia
based on like what's going on in the world? Or
right.
like, what's the rhyme and reason between the choosing? That,
right.
What circulates? Mamma Mia, Oklahoma, Grease, Shrek.
I'm a huge musical theater fan.
Yep.
Huge musical theater fan. And surprisingly enough, Next to Normal is not one of my favorite musicals.
Interesting. Okay.
It's not. But I respect the show highly because of the message that it has. And I think with the message that Next to Normal has, it stands to constantly be not repeated, but portrayed amongst the mass. Because mental illness is still stigmatized.
Yes, it is.
And then it's even worse within the Black community, because we still have we have our elders that still say, just pray about it, it'll go away. No.
Yes.
So with having a show like Next to Normal, where this woman is breaking down and, her daughter doesn't know what to do. She's going through something. Her husband's going through something. I mean, shit.
So let me ask you this. Is there anything, though, in the Black canon that has that same type of thing?
As far as I know, I don't know.
Because I would say that anything, in my opinion, August Wilson could touch on those topics. I would also say that depending on how you read it, For Color Girls, definitely, in my opinion, touches on mental illness. Are you kidding?
Yeah, you're absolutely right about that.
So, and I think that as an artistic director, when I'm helping the company shape these conversations about what our seasons should look like, even like looking for plays, as a whole company, we all research. We will research plays that have been done or not been done, and all come together and have full conversation, like a full conversation. We poll it, we survey each other. I mean, it's this whole thing, because it's very important to us to be putting out relevant work. And our dramaturg is also kind of like our season. She's the one that like helps direct the conversation about the season, and giving her own insight and input into that. But like going, okay, we want to do a show that addresses mental illness. What is in the Black canon? Challenging ourselves to find it. We want to do a show about Black people in the military. I'm just pulling stuff out of my butt, but you know what I mean? Like, find it, right? There's a show out there about Black police officers. And what does that look like? That almost made it to our season for this upcoming year. It's just too fresh, though. It's too fresh. So we were like, let's maybe do this next year. So I think that there are plays that are written for us and by us that addresses whatever you can think of, whatever you can, interracial relationships. I mean, there's plays about everything written by Black folk.
Yep, absolutely.
Stick Fly. Stick Fly is a play about interracial relationships. And like, what does that look like when you bring a white girl home?
It's just who's coming to dinner. That's all all it is.
Well, it's written by a Black woman, so I'd rather do that. Then guess who's coming to dinner? You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So,
and one of the things that I definitely talked about was the show Ragtime.
Yes.
And I swear to God, I have a love-hate relationship
Mm-hmm.
for it.
Yep. Yeah.
Because, it plays a lot on white saviorism,
Yes, it does.
and there's a lot of lack of respectability for the actual message in the show,
Mm-hmm.
and a lot of theaters just don't get it. I saw 2 productions last year where, see, that's what I'm talking about. They like 1 month after each other, where one theater had only 10 Black people in their cast, and one of them was a white girl that just happened to be extra tan.
Mm-hmm.
And then another theater that only had 6 Black people on their stage. And the theater that had the 6 Black people on their stage, they didn't even get enough rehearsal time.
What you mean?
Exactly what I mean. They did not get enough rehearsal time. They didn't get as much rehearsal time as their white counterparts.
What?
Exactly. And this is the garbage that I'm talking about.
I can't.
With a huge, monsterly huge show like Ragtime, you have to have no less than 15 Black folks in that show. 12 to 15.
Or don't
that is
effing produce it.
that too.
Don't do it.
I had it out with a fellow white actor from a community theater where he was just so entranced by the show. He was like, "Oh, it's such a pretty show." And he wanted to do it at the theater that he normally performs at. And I said, "You can't do it at your theater because you only have 3 Black people in rotation at your theater. So I don't know where you think you're going to be able to, when you're going to be able to do that show." And he tells me, "Well, if you bring it, if you bring it, they will come."
No.
I told him absolutely not, because that's not my job as an actor.
Ooh, say it again.
That is not that is not my job as an actor to bring other actors into
your
that theater.
establishment.
That's
Okay,
the job.
so let me ask you a question,
Mhm.
because since COVID and since all of these protests, there has been a large conversation going on around the country in the theater world, calling
Mhm.
out theaters for this
Mhm.
very thing. Theater
Mhm.
world in general in this country being non-inclusive,
Yep.
lazy,
Yep.
unimaginative,
Mhm.
boring. I mean, just everything. Racist, microaggressions. I mean, just all the things.
Yeah.
So my question to you is, so at what point, because this is what I struggle with, wanting to work at other theaters. At what point do you protect yourself as a Black artist and say, I ain't even going to subject myself to this? Or do we try and change it
I've
from
already
the
done
inside?
that.
Yeah. I just,
I've done that twice already. I was asked to read, to do a Zoom read just recently, and the story was described to me, and just based off of the story, I was just like, nope, it plays on white saviorism. I'm not doing it.
Right.
Nope, sorry, can't do it. And it was a theater that took 3 weeks to post anything on their social media regarding Black Lives Matter, and they just finished having a Black show.
Mm-hmm. Yep, that sounds familiar.
So, so I said, no, absolutely not. I'm not doing it. And then as far as like changing it from the inside, that's what my Black Actor Conference was for.
Okay.
To gather the Black actors that I was able to get in contact with and talk about the crap that we have gone through.
Right.
And as I was telling you before we got on here, my friend Dan and I, we are actively working together right now to work with theaters on how to move themselves towards an anti-racist Michigan theater.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's needed.
I agree. I guess I'm not, this is jacked up because I'm not a pessimist like in life. I'm
100% a pessimist.
And I'm an optimist, right? But I don't have a lot of faith in these institutions really changing. I think out of every institution, we may have I'm going to be generous. Let's be generous and say we may have a 10% return on that effort.
Mm-hmm.
Of all of them, you may have 10% that go, yep, let's do this. We're fully committed. Let's do the hard, because it's hard work. It's hard work to take your institution that has been around, some of them almost 100 years.
Mm-hmm.
Racist for your whole existence, and to fix it. That is hard work. And I'm sorry, I don't care. There are a lot of people that call themselves allies that are not, because they don't want to do that hard work. They want to talk it, but they don't.
But they can't walk it.
They literally cannot they can't bring themselves to do you just default all the time to, we're just going to put it out there, and we're going to put this, diversity statement on our audition notice. And dude, why do you think that that's the only thing that you need to do to absolve yourself or to make yourself an anti-racist institution? A diversity statement?
Yep. That's not going to do it. You got to do the work. You got to find your Black actors. I have this same issue with another community theater that I'm nearby. They are literally right down the street from two Black cities. All you have to do is just get on that main road and just drive straight down to go to their community center and put something up saying that you're looking for Black actors. It's not that far. You're literally only 3 miles away. So you mean to tell me that from a city and 3 miles away from your establishment, you cannot find Black actors? Well, that's a bunch of crap. And I'm not here for it. I'm not here for that performative ally bull crap.
I was just about to say performative. And I will even go farther than that. I will go farther than that and say that the work is in the systems of your organization. Mm-hmm. If the systems of your organization from top, so from your board to your executive director, to your artistic, your staff, your creative staff and team, if there is not change from the very top, and I mean having everyone on board with being anti-racist, I mean having full representation from the top of the community, of the community, have diversity, there's going to be no change, because Black folk are not going to come out to audition if they don't feel safe in your space.
Thank you.
They are not. I don't give a flying flip if you do give out flyers down the street in the Black community. They still not gonna come. You know why? Because they don't feel safe. Mm-hmm. They're not looking around when they get to that audition, when they go on your website, when they look at your past seasons. They're not gonna see themselves. Yeah. They're still not gonna come audition. And then it's this whole this is where I get pissed. Because then it's this whole we tried and then they didn't come out. So, I don't know what you guys want us to do. You're fake. That's exactly. That's why you're fake. You went and put out flyers, and you think you did your job. You did a little diversity statement on the audition notice, and you think you did your job. And then when Black folk don't come out, then you go, see, this is why. Mm-hmm. It's not a safe space, man. It's not. Yep. You think you patting yourself on the back, thinking you're doing all this work. You feel like your institution is full of liberals. So we're all on the same page, right? We're all on the same page of equality. Yes. Why you ain't got no Black folk on staff? Right. Why you only have 1 or 2 Black people on your board? Why is no one in upper management?
Or none.
Why is no one in upper management? Why is your artistic director not Black? Why is your executive director not Black? Why do you have nobody Black on the creative team, but you want Black folk to come to your institution and shuck and jive?
You said a whole mouthful.
The F out of here. I'm over it. I told you, I've been doing this 25 years. I have seen it all. And we're at a point in history. Y'all are either going to get it together, or we are going to be excellent by ourselves. We as a Black artist community need to stop asking for space and asking for a seat at the table. Stop. Yep. Stop. I don't need to be in your institution. F your institution. Because you keep displaying to me and to other Black artists in this community that you don't give a flying flip. You don't want to do the hard work. You want to do what's convenient. You want to do what's easy, or you just want to completely ignore it. Why do I want to be in your institution and beg? I want to beg you. Can you please hire a Black director? Can you please, hire a Black music director? Can you please produce more than, one show every 10 years by a Black playwright? What? I don't know. Bump that mess. No, we need to create our own. We need to fund our own. We need to support our own, because we have already demonstrated that we can do it and we can do it better. We can do it. So I'm not going to sit up here and beg to be in your institution. Bump that mess. It's like an abusive relationship. You steady telling me, I don't want you. I mean, well, I kind of do, but not really. Or I'm not going to call you for like 6 weeks and I'm just going to pop up out of the blue. It's that game plan that I feel is this abusive relationship that, you know, the white theater scene has with Black artists. It's abusive and it's damaging and it's trauma. It is trauma to us to continue to be rejected, to continue to be ignored, to continue to be placated and pacified. That's abusive. Instead of us just going, okay, so we just not gonna do this no more. I'm about to move out and I'm gonna get my own place and I'm gonna be on a self-care journey.
Yep.
It's what it is. Like, break up, sis.
Yeah.
Break up. We are broken up.
Right.
I'm straight. Y'all can have y'all stuff over there and figure yourselves out. Whether you want to be, you know, you trying to decide whether you want to be diverse or not. I'm not going to sit around and wait for you to decide if I belong.
Right.
No way.
Right. Now, as a Black woman theater owner in this white dominated industry, what obstacles and challenges have you faced because you're Black and a woman? And how have you overcome them?
That's a good question. So I will say, I feel like all your questions are great. So definitely microaggressions. Definitely, you know, as an actor, being in a show and, you know, you don't know how to make up me. You don't know how to costume me. You don't know what to do with my hair.
Ooh, man.
You know, or being in a show where I should have been hired as the director, but y'all didn't want to do that. So anyway, so there's that. Or being offered, and I say offered, and you can't see me, but I'm putting offered in quotes. So being offered to direct, and I'm gonna preface this with, I am thankful for every opportunity that I have had as a director, because of the fact that whatever you direct, it sharpens your skills as a director. So I'm a better director today for everything that I've ever directed. Okay, so I'm just going to put that out there. I do, however, feel like there needs to be some sort of awareness, especially if you are a primarily white institution and you're hiring a Black director. I think there needs to be some awareness behind what you're asking that director to direct. And why I say that is because maybe I don't always want to tell your story.
Right.
Why don't you ask me what I want to direct?
Right.
And I get it. And this is where I say it's kind of tricky, because it's like, well, we want to give her an opportunity. We heard she's a great director and we don't want to put her in a box by saying that she only needs to direct a Black show. I appreciate that. I really, really do. I really, really do. But I also don't want you to go out of your way to not have me direct a show that tells my stories, that I personally can relate to, that I would do my best work with. Does that make sense? Like, it's complicated. It is. Because like I said, I appreciate the opportunities. I appreciate, you know, you not going, well, oh, we're doing the piano lesson. Let's ask Marissa to direct it. I don't think that's a bad thing, but I do think you need to be aware to not overtly go out of your way. If you had a choice between we have this show in the season and we have this show in the season. This show in the season based on, you know, do your homework. So based on what Marissa normally directs and like what her wheelhouse is, her passion, right? Based on what she directs, let's ask her to direct this show as opposed to this one. But we're going to have her direct this one over here that's not in her wheelhouse. It's not like anything she's ever directed before, but I'm going to ask her to direct this show because I don't want to pigeonhole her into the Black show. It's not pigeonholing. It's knowing who I am. It's looking at my resume and going, oh, this is what she does. So don't you want a director to direct what they do, right?
Exactly.
So that's the, you know, there's been those kinds of challenges as well, to where I'm just like, if you had a choice, you know, or ask me. I feel like I'm at that point in my career where, you know, you don't have to assign me a show. Ask me what I want to do. I've earned it, you know, so treat me with the same level of professionalism that you would anyone else. and ask me what I want to direct.
Mm-hmm.
You know, just
because you already have, you more than likely you would already have in your mind of what show you've been dying to direct yourself.
Yeah, I pay my dues.
You know?
I pay my dues, and I get it. I mean, what happens here is that, you know, and I'm not gonna lie, as a theater company, we do it too, where we choose our season and then we choose the director. I get it.
Mm-hmm.
I get it. But why don't you go, hey, here's our season. We'd really love to have you as a director in our season. What do you want to direct?
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I've earned that.
Yep.
You know, so just not being given the professional courtesy to do that, you know.
Right.
But again, I'm not even saying that in a ungrateful way or in a I'm upset about it, because I'm not. It's just it's another layer of, this is where we need to grow as a theater community. We need to grow in that. You know, how much professional courtesy do we give our fellow Black actors and directors and producers and designers? How much courtesy do we give them? Do we give them the same courtesy as we give everybody else?
Right.
You know, so it's just asking for that. So I've had challenges with that. I would probably say also, you know, the overarching challenge is just not even being considered. I'm not even on your effing radar. You know who I am. You know where to find me. You know what I've done. And I'm not even given the professional effing courtesy for a phone call.
Right.
That's the biggest thing. That right.
Right. Now, let me ask you this, because I have this starred on my document to make sure to ask you this. And it was something that that was constantly explored in my Black Actor Conference series. So as one out of the 3 Black female identifying theater founders and artistic directors, the others being Sam White of Shakespeare in Detroit, which is an equity union theater, and Ladine Lewis of Detroit Lighthouse Community Theater, which is a 501c3 community theater. You know very well how racist Michigan theater can be. So how do you think Michigan theater can move forward towards being anti-racist?
Like I was saying earlier, really pick apart your institution, pick it apart. And that's going to be hard. It's going to be hard. It's going to be painful. Anti-racist work is painful. I think people have this idea in their heads that, I don't know what they think. I really, really don't. But you're literally deprogramming yourself. That's painful.
Yeah.
Right? Anyone that's ever been to therapy knows that don't feel good. Change doesn't feel good at first. Right? It takes sacrifice. You're going to cry about it. You're going to scream about it. You know, there's going to be arguments. It's hard, painful work at first. And then you get on the other side of that and you have something great. And you have something special. And you have something that is representative of the community and is not creating trauma for Black artists and other artists of color. So, you know, you have to start that work from the top. You have to examine your board. You have to handpick those people. You have to do a strategic plan with becoming an anti-racist institution as the main goal, and give yourself 5 years to do it, because it's going to take some time. But do the work. Do the work. And for real. And that's why I mentioned a strategic plan. I have sat on many, many boards. I know how this works. That's why I said do it for real, not performative. Hire a Black consultant to help you develop the strategic plan and consult you through that mofo to go, hey, here's our organization. We're going to pay you to help make this an anti-racist organization. And I guarantee you that consultant is going to be, okay, so we need to fire everybody and start over. I guarantee it. Because here's the thing with racism. You are either actively engaged or you're standing by watching it happen and not saying anything. And that's not right either. That's not right either. So you got to start at the top.
Because your silence is loud.
Your silence is violence. Okay? So you need a consultant who is Black, and you need to pay them to walk you through a 5-year strategic plan to get it together. There is no other way to do it. I'm sorry. There's not. There's no shortcuts. There's no, well, could we just like hire like 3 more people on staff of color and produce like 1 more Black show than we normally do? No, not to be an anti-racist institution. No.
Right.
Nope. That's not how that works.
Right.
That's not, I'm sorry.
Yep.
Your whole institution needs to change. The whole way, your policies, your procedures, the whole way you do business needs to change. And the reason why I say everybody needs to go is because it will be easier to rehire who you need than to try and do what you need to do with the current people that you have.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And tell them to do something outside of their comfort zone and to do it because they're going to be, well, we tried that, or we just did, right? That's why you need to start over. You need to start fresh with the intent that you're hiring anti-racists.
Yep. And then especially with these boards of these theaters are comprised of older generations. So they're really stuck and set in their ways, and they are not budging.
Yeah.
They will
fight you at every turn.
Yep.
What do you mean anti-racist? Yep. What's anti-racist? It's just a new trendy. Go. You need to go. Bye.
Right.
You need to go.
Here's your retirement papers.
The work is not. It's not going to be done with the same old. I'm sorry. It's not. You need a multi-generational, multi-ethnic, different identifying sexualities, and you need a truly diverse board and staff and creative team to accomplish it, or it's not going to get done. And we're just all, like you said earlier, it's just performative. It's just, well, we want to, but what's an easy way for us to do this? Just be mindful that, your little efforts are not enough to make you an anti-racist institution. Little small efforts are not enough. You have to do it. If you're going to do it, you have to do it for real. And I know that's going to be scary for a lot of people, because what you're talking about is giving up power. You're talking about giving it up, and you've had it, like I said, for some of these theaters for almost 100 years. Yeah. You've had power, and you're going to have pushback. I mean, Michigan is not really the most progressive state. That's why I'm not a pessimist, but when it comes to this kind of stuff, I am. If we were somewhere else, if we were in, I don't know, if we were on a coast, or you know what I'm saying, if we were somewhere where I was like, okay, you might have more people here that have some sense, right, and that are willing to sacrifice their subscriber base and to start over with a new subscriber base. That I just don't think we have that here. I don't, because you have to look across the landscape of Michigan theater. Who is the subscriber base? Yeah, people don't want to piss off their subscribers. They don't want to hurt their pocket. I mean, if we really want to be real, we want to be real. That's the reason why there's not equity in Michigan theater, because people don't want to piss off their subscriber base. I have been told that specifically about some stuff here. Well, we didn't feel comfortable producing that, or our board didn't want to produce that. I'm sorry, why?
Because they're too concerned about their donor base and their audiences.
Exactly. Your current donor base and your current audience.
And that was one thing that we talked about too, was that, when you start making the moves into making your theater anti-racist, you're going to lose some of your donors and some of your audience members. And to that's good, because if they're not comfortable enough to see diversity on their stage and to see the anti-racist work that the theater is doing, then they don't deserve to be in your theater or a part of it.
But you don't really believe that. So that's why y'all not really committed to this work.
Right.
That's real talk.
So how do you keep your mental health in check and keep your self-performance ready?
So my family keeps me very stable. I have 3 kids, 11, 6, and 8 months.
Oh, goodness.
Oh, yep. So I would say my family, because, you can't be crazy when you got 3 little kids looking at you. I mean, you could, but that wouldn't be productive. So I can honestly say, I'm saying this because before I became a mom, I did struggle a lot with anxiety and depression.
Mm-hmm.
And coming from, evangelical Christian background, therapy was not a thing. So I can honestly say that, becoming a mom is what gave me the motivation when I had my daughter, the 11-year-old. She gave me the motivation to get my mental health together. Because I was like, I'm not going to pass my stuff on to you. I'm not going to do it. So, I started therapy. Meditating and just all the things. And then, also realizing how to use my art to work through the stuff too in a healthy way. So it was a combination of all those things. And none of that has changed. You learn and you grow not only as a person, but I've learned and I've grown as a parent. And so, continuing with like my own mental health and self-care, because what we're doing is hard. It's hard work. It's hard work. It is fulfilling and awesome, but it can take a toll. Like how many people of color continue in this work for long periods of time?
Right.
Not a lot of us, because it's hard and it can be painful. It can be extremely stressful. And like I was saying earlier, the constant rejection, the constant, ignoring, people acting like you don't exist.
Right.
You don't have the same opportunities as your white colleagues. That can take a toll. And so I was just telling a young lady this the other day, she's in college now, and encouraging her about this profession. And I said, self-care for you is going to be paramount. And I also said, you're going to have to find a way to take all of the no's that you're going to get as a Black woman, take all of the no's and turn them into your own yeses, whatever that looks like for you. Because I think that's why I'm still doing this after 25 years.
Right.
Is because I was like, oh, you told me no, that's cool. I'm gonna go over here and do my thing over here. That's fine. You don't want me, that's cool. So yeah, I think, just knowing to take care of yourself, find whatever, for me, it's my family, but find something that can stabilize you outside of theater, outside of the art. Right. And to understand that, you will have tough moments, you will have rejection, but how to flip it. It's all about your mindset.
I like that answer.
And and shoot, he's not listening to me, but I also can't neglect to give a shout out to my husband, because he has been my ride or die. He's the reason why I was able to like go back to school and get my gosh darn degree and have, all these nights where I wasn't home because I was in rehearsal or performing. And he's home with the babies, right? And still, I have a wonderful partner. I can't ignore that. I can't deny that. I would not have been able to accomplish all the stuff that I've accomplished in the past 10 years, without a great partner. So that has also been probably the key to my success. And he's a very, he's a Capricorn. So we're the complete opposite.
Wait, what's the opposite to Capricorn?
I'm an Aries. I'm crazy. I'm like fire all day. It just like I'm just woo. I know I'm a lot. I know I am, and I embrace that. In my 37 years of life, I know it. I know. And, you throw in there, like, being from South Central, so I got a little bit of, like, edge, too. Poor guy. Like, I love him so much. But he is a stabilizing force in my life. He is stabilizing. So that, like, when I'm just running around town, literally at one point in my marriage, I was in undergrad. We had 2 kids, and I was acting in a show, directing in a show, around town in another show. I had 3 shows going at one time. We were newly married, and he's sitting here looking at me like, sis, what are we doing? Okay. So I am thankful for him, because I would not, if I didn't have a supportive partner, there's no way I would still be doing this. There's no way. Mm-hmm. As a mom, I have a full-time job too. There's no way that without my partner that I would continue, I would be able to do this work. I would have never started the theater company. I just wouldn't have. So I think that has been extremely key to being able to do what I'm passionate about, darn it.
So what advice do you have for aspiring actors and theater leaders?
Of color? Because that's different. Yeah. That's different advice.
Right. Of color, of women. Yes. Of Black women.
Yeah, I'm going to speak to Black women right now because, we have a very unique, our challenge is different, If you even look at the landscape of Black theater and look at the roles, where are the roles for us? So for Black women, I say, and I'm not even going to say Black women, I would say Black female presenting people. Mm-hmm. Do not be discouraged by what the world is telling you, and specifically what the theater world is telling you you are or you are not. And honestly, do your thing. Find a way. Like you're doing this podcast. Find a way to do your thing, and do not wait for anyone to give you an opportunity, because it's not going to come. So whatever your thing is, if it's costume design, if it's performance, if it's scenic design, if it's stage management, work yo stuff, sis. Work whatever, work it. We have all been taught how to work it, right? Mm-hmm. So do what you need to do to get where you need to go without compromising who you are, without compromising your talent, and without compromising, I would just say without compromise, because I don't feel like we need to assimilate to be successful. Mm-hmm. Do not. Don't feel pressure. Exactly. Either. Don't feel pressure to. If you're in a situation and you feel like, okay, so in order to move up here, I need to be this way, or I need to act like I'm okay with this, or you need to re-examine your priorities, and maybe you don't need to be in that space.
Right. So my last question for you, and I ask all my guests this, and it's called the Queen's Request. Okay. So I would like for you to suggest to me 1 or 2 Black Michigan women identifying people, women presenting people, artists. So that can be of any genre. That can be music or dance or burlesque or drag, whatever, that we should be keeping an eye out for.
So one person is Asia Mark. Asia Mark is in the Detroit area now, but Asia went to Western and is currently a performer with Universe's theater, but also I think she's done some stuff with Detroit Shakespeare. But if you want to talk about like a multi-talented, multifaceted artist, because she sings, she dances, and she's just extremely talented actor. Asia is just the whole package and then some. And I really think she's going to do some great things. One of my founding company members, her name is Tanisha Pyron, also, just a phenomenal, multi-talented artist. Tanisha's still in Kalamazoo with me, but Tanisha has always been the creative, I don't know what the term is, but it's her mind, the way that she sees the work. She sees it because she's also a photographer, like a phenomenal photographer. She's an artist in her own regard in that way as well. She sees pictures, she sees images with her work. And so as an actor and as a director, her work just blows your mind, because you're like, how did you come up with, she's so talented, so freaking talented. So her name is Tanisha Pyron. And the last person I will lift up is, there's so many people, I want to lift up everybody. The last person I will lift up is Janae Travis, who also is a founding company member of FaceOff Theater. She's currently in Ohio receiving her master's in fine arts degree. But Janae, same thing with Tanisha, actually all three of these ladies, at Western, Western has a phenomenal theater department. So I'm not at all speaking disparagingly of Western, but just, I would say higher education in general can be very difficult for Black women. And how we all responded to the difficulty was A, to work together, and B, to just kick ass. And Janae was my first introduction to Western theater because she directed me in a show. And I don't know how many years Janae's senior I am, but I'm much older than Janae. And Janae had me in rehearsals like, okay. Like she knows her art, she knows her craft, and then she also knows how to pull it out of other people and inspire others, especially other Black women, to like do this. She is an extremely powerful motivational speaker. She's evolved recently into like a spoken word artist as well. She's a powerhouse. That's the only way I know how to describe her, is power. She's powerhouse. So Janae Travis is definitely another person that, everyone should be keeping their eye on, because she's going to do great things. She's going to do really, really great things. All three of them. And every single person in my company, like I'm very fortunate. I'm very, very fortunate to work with like the best. We all crush on each other. Like, oh my God, you're the best. I get to work with the best. And that just happens to be you, and you're my friend. Every single last one of them. So I just encourage people, to just go to our website and check out, or our Facebook page, and just check out who's in the company and who our founding members are. Because we have been graced with some powerful, talented women.
Yeah, well, go ahead and promote the website and your social media. What are the handles for it?
Absolutely. So our website is faceofftheater.com, and our handle is just, if you're on Instagram, it's at FaceOff Theater, and we spell theater with an R-E. And Facebook, if you just, search FaceOff Theater Company, you'll find us. We're all over the place, because that's how we sell tickets. We don't have like a traditional, marketing and ticket system. We're kind of grassroots in that way. So we're all over social media. So yeah, I would say just check us out and check out the work that we're doing. And remember that, we are all Black female presenting people. And just showing that it's freaking possible. It's possible.
Exactly.
It's possible.
Well, I had so much fun with you today.
Oh my God, I could talk to you forever. It was awesome. Thank you. Thank you. Like, this made my day.
Yeah, I appreciate you talking with me for like an hour and 38 minutes.
I told you I needed a break from the baby, so this was great. To come down here. Yeah, my family knows to leave me alone. I was like, oh, mommy's on a call, so I can go downstairs in the basement and be uninterrupted. But it was a very nice break. Thank you. So I appreciated the break. Thank you.
Well, I appreciate you taking the time out to talk with me, because I've been wanting to talk with you for a while now. So if you know of any Black women theater performers that's further up north, let me know.
Up north where? I don't know. I could ask around, but I don't know. Up north? Us?
I mean, normally I'm a pessimist, but I'm being, positive that there's got to be at least one of us
somebody
up there.
Somebody got to be up there. I don't know. Anybody listening? You know anybody up north? Woo! That's a whole other world up there.
Exactly. Yeah. But thank you again.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Thanks for tuning in to today's episode. You can find Black Queens on Stage podcast and Black Literature and Art Queens Network at blackqueensonstage.com and blaqn.org. Follow me on Instagram at BLAQN Show Michigan, on Facebook at BLAQ Show Michigan, and on Twitter at BLAQNMI. You can find all this info in the show notes. Please rate the show and leave a review on Apple Podcast or on Podbean to let me know what you think of the show. Thanks again. Until next time.